I tried the new and fancy eDrums from Zildjian called ALCHEM-E, and I have some thoughts. Hey, welcome to Project Beats. My name is Jovan. Just a quick one before we dive in. If you like this type of video, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. Really helps the channel out. Okay, I know I told you I have moved on from eDrums, but that doesn't mean I stopped being curious about new tech in the eDrum space. And this one in particular piqued my interest. So, to my eDrums people who are subscribed in this channel, this one's for you guys. The Zildjian ALCHEM-E eDrums is not new, but it just recently landed on our shores here in Singapore. And I was graciously invited by Yamaha Singapore to try it out and see what I think. By the way, big thanks to Yamaha Singapore for having me. I'm gonna get straight to my experience and thoughts because by this time, there would have been plenty of videos around about it, talking about specs and whatnot. So I'm just gonna share my thoughts. Some of the things that I particularly like about it, number one, of course, all cymbals are three-way, meaning you get bell, bow, crash, plays and reacts like an actual cymbal. I guess being Zildjian, that's the main selling point of this new ALCHEM-E drums and the new tech they put inside it. Another thing is you have a lot of controls, customization options, so you can dial in your preferred response. Cymbal feels great. Of course, it's using the LATs, if I'm not wrong, which is one of the best feeling low volume cymbals out there. Also, of course, cymbal sounds are on point. Really love the Zildjian selection they have on board. If you've ever played an eDrums before, you would know that one of the weakest part of eDrums are cymbal sound. So having great selection on the ALCHEM-E is of course very much welcome. They have a whole selection of great cymbals in the module, which I won't go into deep dive mode because I only have a short time testing it. I am not sure if that's the full extent of the Zildjian cymbal library, but the potential to add a whole host of samples is there. Maybe if they release a new cymbal selection or cymbal sets or whatever combination they have that's new, they could just add it on the module, which could just be an easy update. Or it could also be a paid upgrade. I don't know. As far as my short test, I was super impressed with the cymbal selection. Of course, the sound and the response as well. A lot of controls and customizations, personalizations, and all that. It's a good thing to have all of those, but you could also get lost in there. But it's highly customizable, which is a good thing. I like the cymbal choke response. That seems to be pretty sensitive. And also the drum samples and patch library sounded pretty good as well. Snare is solid in terms of side stick, rim shots, and snare hits. They are not easily confused, so that's good. As far as other things that you need to take note of is you still have to get used to getting the hit right to get the right sound. That takes some getting used to, as with most eDrums. I think it would be better if you think of it as a different instrument from an acoustic drums than comparing it against an actual drums. It would better serve you if you play intentional, simple, direct hits instead of like complex ghost notes, and like that has a lot of finesse when you play, which you will see in some of the samples I shot, which actually not a lot of eDrums can actually capture a lot of sensitive and soft playing parts combined with a hard hit. It basically responds and plays a lot differently than an actual drums. So just be aware of that. It's still well within that realm of eDrums limitation. Another thing is I am not entirely sure of the accuracy of the cymbal hits or trigger response for some cymbals. I think the crash and ride was spot on. The others was a little bit off, or maybe hit or miss sometimes. Although at times it was very good on different patch. I think it was just the way they set it up in the store. There's a lot of optimization and tweaks that you can do for it to be able to play better. But if I take my experience with the crash and the ride, I think it's just a simple tweak on the module to get it just right. Because the possibility is there. The crash and the ride plays really well. So it might just be something that was touched on the settings there, I'm not sure. Another thing is in my testing, the hi-hat kept spinning, which is common more often than you think, even on high-end eDrums. So I've experienced that with some of the VAD from Roland. They do have anti-spin mechanism there. I'm sure there is one in the ALCHEM-E as well. I just wasn't familiar with the setup. But with hi-hat, as with all eDrums, you'd really have to set it up very tightly for it not to spin. So just keep that in mind. Also, the kick trigger keeps getting double trigger. I'm sure that's not how it's supposed to play. I think it can play better. Again, it's probably the setup or maybe something loose on the trigger there. I'm not sure. In hindsight, I think the whole kit wasn't really super optimized. I think it was fairly new or newly set up when I tested it. So there's a lot of things that could have happened. Another thing you have to think about is by nature, you would have to think like how long would it perform well before you start worrying about fixes and having it serviced, and also how well the support is. But Zildjian, I think their support is pretty good. But then, you know, you start thinking about these things. Also, if you're not aware, all the cymbals are using Ethernet cable to connect to the module. I think it's more simple than it looks, because the Ethernet cable is just an efficient way of wiring a lot more things in a neat package. If you've seen the Ethernet snake box, it's just basically for XLR mic in that very tiny cable. So it's probably different multiple connections going to the triggers and then into the module. I won't really be scared or with that connection, but I haven't really read up on it, but I feel like that's what it is. I may be wrong. Before I get to my final thoughts, here is some very bad playing example. I didn't get through the whole drum patch, at least I don't think I did, but here's some clips of my testing. As for my final thoughts, it is a high-end eDrum that is making an effort to get the cymbal feel and the looks close to an acoustic drums, especially if you have issue with volume control, of course. But I would still think of it as a different instrument than a drums or acoustic drums, because it is. But the best part about it is the new cymbal tech, new cymbal sounds, and how it performs. I was wondering though how it would be if you could mix and match systems. Like if you could combine the cymbal tech of the ALCHEM-E with maybe a Pearl Mimic Pro. I'm sure it's doable, but that will be one very expensive drum set. I do think it's a step in the right direction in terms of cymbal feel, cymbal performance overall, and customization. It's version 1, and it's a very promising version 1, and I hope they continue developing this. Not bad at all for a first version. For its price though, I would have thought they would come with premium mesh heads. I think what they have on was like a one ply from Remo Silent Stroke or something like that. Or it's actually probably a rebranded Remo Silent Stroke. But the response is a little bit too bouncy, not the same as a 3-ply mesh. If you've experienced and played both, you would know there's a big difference there. Also, you solve two things with 3-ply mesh, in my opinion. One is playing feel. Also, you get tighter trigger accuracy. You get a bit more control with 3-ply, in my opinion. Again, I kept getting double trigger on the kicks. I think it needs a bit of foam backing or more foam backing behind that behind the mesh there on the kick to control some of that double trigger better. You could argue that you could solve that with trigger sensitivity control on the module, but if you can do it right from the build, it will be easier to control and, you know, less fapping time with the module. Question to you guys, if money no object, which high-end eDrums would you get? Right, if you're interested to try it out, do drop by Yamaha at Plaza Singapura. If you are getting one, let them know I sent you. Nothing will happen, but let them know. Okay, that's about it for this video. I got 2 more I'm editing as far as eDrum reviews, which I will upload right away. I'm hoping to get through all of these pending backlogs as I wanted to do a lot more things. But okay, I see you guys in the next project.